Thank you for joining the State Road 826 PD&E study. We're going to give it a few more minutes to make sure we give time for everyone to get here. So we'll start the presentation at 6:10. Good evening. I want to thank everyone again for joining us for the State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway PD&E study. We will begin the presentation around 6:10. If you could please make your way to the seats, we'd greatly appreciate it. Good evening. The Florida Department of Transportation welcomes you to the Alternatives Public Workshop for the State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway Project Development and Environment Study between US 1 and Northwest 25th Street in Miami-Dade County, Florida. This workshop is for financial project identification number 432-639-12202 and efficient transportation decision-making number 14308. Si usted necesita traducción durante este taller público, por favor, levante su mano y un miembro de nuestro equipo le asistirá. The purpose of this workshop is to share information with the general public about the proposed improvements, its conceptual design, and the potential beneficial and adverse social, economic, and environmental effects upon the community. The public workshop also serves as an official forum, providing an opportunity for members of the public to express their opinions regarding the project. Today's alternative public workshop has been broken down into 3 sessions. The first session is the formal presentation, which will explain the project purpose and need, study alternatives, and potential impacts, both beneficial and adverse. The second session is the exhibits overview video, which will explain the project exhibits and how to navigate the website. The third session will be the formal comment period, where you will have the opportunity to provide oral statements or in writing. If you wish to make a comment, you can do so by completing one of the comment forms available at tonight's workshop. You may also provide oral statements by completing a speaker card. Those making oral statements will be called to the microphone in the order speaker cards are received. Please include your full name and address with your comment. Oral statements will be limited to 3 minutes. You may also email or mail your comment to the project manager. All comments will be added to the meeting record. All forms of comment received will carry equal weight. If you are participating virtually, questions and comments can be submitted using the GoToWebinar questions tool at any time during the workshop. Questions will be answered after the exhibits overview video session during the comment period. Comments can be submitted throughout the workshop and will be acknowledged by the project team. I will explain some of the GoToWebinar features that will help you participate in this meeting. On your computer or device screen, you should see something that looks like the image in the upper right corner. To listen to the meeting, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select phone call in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information displayed. All attendees will be placed in listen-only mode throughout the meeting. Comments and questions can be typed in the questions tool. If you happen to experience technical issues during the meeting, please type the issue in the questions tool on the control panel to report it, or simply call 1-800-418-0524. Staff will do their best to assist you. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the project website after November 10th. This workshop was advertised consistent with the federal and state requirements. The public notice for this workshop, including information on how to access it, was provided in letters to elected and appointed officials and to property owners and tenants in the project area. This workshop was posted in the Florida Administrative Register and the Miami Herald, in emails and persons, on the project context list, on social media feeds, and on the project website. Here with me tonight are the 2 PD&E Study project managers. Raul Quintela, the project manager for the Florida Department of Transportation, and Ryan Solis-Rios, the consultant project manager with the Cordino Group. Together with the rest of the project team, they are the ones leading the study. At this time, we would like to recognize any federal, state, county, or city officials. If there are any in the room, you can stand up. If attending virtually, please submit your name and who you represent in the questions tool, and if you would like to make an oral statement. Officials who wish to make an oral statement will be called on by the moderator. Giving it a minute to see. Oh, I see. Seeing none, I think we can move on. Before we begin the formal presentation, we want to showcase the FDOT compass. which highlights key focus areas for the state that are considered in every project. These focus areas are safety, workforce development, technology, robust supply chain, resiliency, and communities at the center of the compass, as everything we do impacts the communities we serve. This project focuses on all areas of the compass. We are now ready to begin the formal presentation.
The Florida Department of Transportation welcomes you to the Alternatives Public Workshop for the State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway PD&E Study from US 1 to Northwest 25th Street in Miami-Dade County, Florida. This Alternatives Public Workshop is for Financial Project Identification Number 432-639-1-22-02 and Efficient Transportation Decision-Making Number 14308. The Project Development and Environment Study, or PD&E, is the second step in the project development process that the Florida Department of Transportation follows to ensure consideration of environmental impacts, social impacts, public input, engineering design, and project costs when evaluating a planned transportation improvement project. The PD&E process was established by the FDOT as the state's procedure for complying with the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, of 1969 and is required to secure federal approval and funding. The PD&E process is an integrated work effort involving engineering analysis and environmental evaluation, all accomplished within the context of a public participation plan. The State Road 826 corridor project limits run from US 1 Dixie Highway to Northwest 25th Street, a total length of approximately 8.4 miles in Miami-Dade County, Florida. The study area includes 11 interchanges within unincorporated Miami-Dade. The purpose and need for a project provide the basis for developing, considering, evaluating, and eliminating project alternatives. The Palmetto Expressway widening project's purpose and need are to accommodate travel demands, enhance safety, improve system linkage and freight, and enhance emergency response and evacuation. In terms of corridor traffic demand, the project traverses 4 major transportation planning areas, with population and employment growth estimated to increase between 12.5 and 64.5%. Concerning safety, the study area has experienced a greater overall number of crashes, with 4,729 crashes during a 5-year period. 56% of these crashes have been rear-end crashes. This segment of State Road 826 is the missing link that will provide continuous improvements along the corridor and enable better connectivity with other roadways between US 1 and I-95. The State Road 826 corridor carries over 10,000 freight trucks daily. Enhancing traffic conditions along this corridor will facilitate the movement and delivery of freight. State Road 826 serves as part of the Emergency Evacuation Route Network. State Road 826 is crucial in facilitating traffic movement during emergency evacuation periods as it connects to other major arterials and highways within the state's evacuation route network. State Road 826 between US 1 and State Road 874 consists of 5 to 6 travel lanes, 3 lanes in the northbound direction and 2 to 3 lanes in the southbound direction, with auxiliary lanes at select locations. Between State Road 874 and State Road 836, the corridor consists primarily of 12 travel lanes, 6 lanes in each direction. The State Road 826 corridor is designated as a strategic intermodal system facility, is part of the Emergency Evacuation Route Network, and the National Highway System. The scope of this PD&E study is to evaluate corridor improvements that will add highway and interchange lanes, modify interchange ramps, and enhance intersection improvements to improve the corridor's operations. The study is also evaluating the social, economic, physical, and environmental impacts associated with the potential improvements, all with the goal of identifying a preferred alternative. The PD&E study evaluated traffic operations with future projections for 2035 and 2055. Public meetings are to be held to involve the public, local officials, and interested agencies in the project development process. These public meetings provide updates on the project's status and solicit input from the public. 4 public meetings have been held for this PD&E study. Today, we are holding the 3rd Alternatives Public Workshop. Small group meetings and one-on-one stakeholder meetings have been held with public officials and other stakeholders throughout the study. The intent of these meetings is to present the latest project information and to provide opportunities to discuss specific issues and/or concerns. Project newsletters and fact sheets have been prepared for the study and distributed at all the public meetings. A project website was developed for the project and includes all pertinent information about the PD&E study. The project website is another method used to allow the public to communicate with the project team and provide comments. The objective of this PD&E study is to evaluate alternatives that will address existing and projected operating deficiencies along this section of State Road 826. To keep up with the growing traffic demand within the study area, multiple alternatives have been considered, including a no-build alternative that maintains the existing roadway configuration and any other planned improvements along the corridor. The PD&E study is considering 3 corridor alternatives, alternatives 1, 3, and 4. Alternative 2 was eliminated from the study. All 3 alternatives will require widening of the corridor. All 3 alternatives will alleviate traffic congestion and increase travel speeds along the corridor. Alternative 1 proposes adding an additional travel lane in each direction between US 1 and State Road 836 with auxiliary lanes at select locations. Alternative 1 requires a smaller roadway footprint when compared to alternatives 3 and 4. Therefore, Alternative 1 has less right-of-way needs, lower construction costs, and less overall impacts when compared to Alternatives 3 and 4. Alternative 3 proposes adding an untolled managed lane in each direction between US 1 and State Road 836 with auxiliary lanes at select locations. The managed lane is separated by a buffer with tubular markers, with restricted access points for entry and exit. Managed lanes are an innovative solution for managing traffic congestion, placing strategic access points to separate short trips from long trips. Other benefits of Alternative 3 include higher corridor travel speeds and the ability to move more traffic when compared to Alternative 1. This schematic line diagram illustrates the Alternative 3 potential access points for entering and exiting the managed lanes. North is to the right. Alternative 3 includes 5 potential access points in each direction along the State Road 826 corridor. 5 northbound and 5 southbound, allowing for entry and exit into the managed lanes system. Alternative 4. Between US 1 and State Road 874, Alternative 4 proposes adding an additional travel lane in each direction with auxiliary lanes at select locations. Between State Road 836 and State Road 874, Alternative 4 proposes extending the existing State Road 826 express lanes to the south, terminating at State Road 874, with access points and tolls to manage traffic congestion. The express lane is separated by a buffer with tubular markers. Express lanes also manage traffic congestion by placing strategic access points and a toll to separate short trips from long trips, offering travelers choices for traveling through the corridor. Key benefits for Alternative 4 are the reliability of the express lanes to operate at 55 miles per hour during peak hour periods. Alternative 4, when compared to Alternatives 1 and 3, offers higher corridor travel speeds, improved overall traffic conditions, and the ability to move more traffic, providing the best driver experience for both the express lane and non-tolled travel lanes. Alleviating congestion, combined with separating long and short trips, reduces the number of crashes along the corridor, which significantly lowers the number of lane closures during an accident. Alternative 4 includes 4 potential access points in each direction, 4 northbound and 4 southbound, allowing for entry and exit into the express lane system between State Road 874 and State Road 836. One unique feature of Alternative 4 is that it proposes an express lane connection to State Road 874 to and from the north. This connection will serve the number one origin and destination traffic pattern along State Road 826, traveling between State Road 874 and State Road 836 east. This connection moves approximately 1,650 vehicles out of the non-tolled travel lanes into the express lanes. This traffic shift reduces the volume of weaving and lane-changing traffic, providing congestion relief and safer operating conditions along the corridor. In every PD&E study, the no-build or no-action alternative is considered part of the alternatives analysis. The no-build alternative proposes to keep the existing study area without corridor improvements into the future. The advantages of this alternative are no impacts to the social, cultural, physical, or natural environment, no right-of-way needs, and no associated construction costs. The disadvantages of this alternative are the effects associated with the acceptance of increased peak period congestion with traffic backups in every direction, safety issues, and slower emergency response times. No traffic capacity, operation, or safety improvements would be implemented throughout the corridor. Future growth of the study area will not be accommodated. Therefore, the needs of the area will not be satisfied, and congested traffic conditions will continue. All build alternatives propose interchange and intersection improvements for 10 out of the 11 interchanges. The interchange improvements will vary from minor to major capacity enhancements. The major interchange improvements are proposed at Bird Road and State Road 836. The PD&E study proposes reconfiguring the State Road 826 and Bird Road interchange to a U-turn elevated interchange concept. The U-turn concept is an innovative design that eliminates left turn movements at the ramp terminals and replaces them with right turn movements. If you are traveling northbound on State Road 826, you will exit at Bird Road the same way you do today. You will continue to the right if your destination is Bird Road East. If your destination is Bird Road West, you will continue traveling north over Bird Road and follow the elevated U-turn ramp, which will take you to the west side of the interchange, where you will be turning right at the ramp terminal to continue west on Bird Road. If you are traveling southbound on State Road 826, you will exit at Bird Road the same way you do today. You will continue to the right if your destination is Bird Road West. If your destination is Bird Road East, you will continue traveling south over Bird Road and follow the elevated U-turn ramp, which will take you to the east side of the interchange, where you will be turning right at the ramp terminal to continue east on Bird Road. This interchange design eliminates a traffic phase from the ramp terminal intersections with more green time to share with other movements. This interchange configuration improves the operations of both State Road 826 and Bird Road, achieving an acceptable level of service and processing more vehicles through the intersections. Alternatives 3 and 4 propose adding a ramp flyover that connects State Road 826 northbound from the median to State Road 836 eastbound. This ramp will help alleviate current and future traffic congestion along the northbound lanes of State Road 826 between Coral Way and State Road 836. The traffic volume between State Road 826 northbound and State Road 836 eastbound is very high. This new ramp will help redistribute the volume in conjunction with the existing ramp, improving the operations of the State Road 826 northbound lanes approaching State Road 836. There are 72 existing bridges and 2 culverts within the study limits. Under each alternative, bridges are being evaluated to identify how many bridges can be widened, how many need to be demolished and replaced, and how many new bridges are required to accommodate the future improvements. The corridor has 22 drainage systems. All systems will be enhanced to accommodate the storm water runoff from the roadway improvements. Right-of-way acquisition is anticipated for this project. The estimated right-of-way cost will be generated based on the proposed conceptual design plans, which will be completed in the next few months. 37 properties are anticipated to be impacted by Alternative 1, 52 properties by Alternative 3, and 45 properties by Alternative 4. The level of impacts will be identified later in the study. All right-of-way acquisition will be conducted in accordance with Florida Statutes 339.09 and 421.55, as well as the Federal Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970, commonly known as the Uniform Act. Right-of-way specialists who are supervising this program are here tonight and will be happy to answer your questions. As part of the PD&E study, FDOT is evaluating the potential social, physical, natural, and cultural effects of the proposed project. These listed features are just some of the types of analysis included in this study. Avoidance and/or minimizing impacts to these features is a key consideration. Impacts that cannot be avoided will be mitigated. The social and economic evaluations determined that relocation impacts will occur with residential and commercial properties. The proposed project will enhance safety, emergency evacuation, and mobility. There will be a limited reduction in taxable land due to the relocations. The additional lanes will improve and support freight movement through the project area. The proposed improvements will enhance multimodal access and regional network connectivity. There will be a potential for increased visual awareness of the roadway corridor with the addition of elevated ramps, lanes, and noise walls. No adverse impacts to historic or archaeological resources are anticipated as a result of the project. The project has no Section 4F involvement for recreational resources, as the build alternatives avoided impacts to all parks. A state historic highway was identified within the study limits. Sunset Drive between Southwest 69th Avenue and Southwest 87th Avenue. The designated segment will be impacted by the need to enhance traffic safety due to high crash rates. The proposed improvements are being coordinated through the State Historic Preservation Officer to ensure compliance with state law. A community engagement meeting was held on October 2024 regarding the proposed improvements along Sunset Drive to receive feedback from the local residents and users of the corridor. 10 federally listed animal species and 3 federally listed plant species were identified to occur within the project limits. The project will not adversely affect federally designated critical habitats. No adverse effects are anticipated on any state-listed animal and plant species identified within the project limits. Viable vegetated wetland habitat does not exist within the project limits. However, 33 stormwater detention retention features and 8 surface waters were identified. The impacts to these surface water features are anticipated to be compensated by constructing a new stormwater management system for the project. No adverse impacts to water quality downstream of the construction area are anticipated. A traffic noise study is being performed to assess the potential traffic noise impacts associated with the project and to evaluate the feasibility and reasonableness of noise barriers as an abatement measure at the impacted sites. The noise study will be performed in accordance with the state and federal regulations and guidelines. The traffic noise study process includes several steps. One of the initial steps is to identify the location of noise-sensitive sites along the project corridor that include residential units, schools, parks, places of worship, cemeteries, hotel pools, restaurants, and medical facilities. The next steps include predicting traffic noise levels for the existing conditions and the future no-build and build alternatives using Federal Highway's traffic noise model and the determination of traffic noise impacts. For all impacted sites, noise barriers will be evaluated as an abatement measure. Any modifications to or the replacement of any existing noise barriers physically impacted by the project will also be evaluated. Input from the public on the noise barrier recommendations will be solicited during this and future project phases. The methodology and results of the study, including the noise barrier recommendations, will be summarized in a noise study report that will be made available for the public's review prior to the public hearing. 54 sites of potential environmental concern were identified along the project corridor. 9 sites are rated as high risk, 14 sites are rated as medium risk, and 31 sites are rated as low risk. The contaminants of concern for the high risk and medium risk sites include dry cleaning solvents and petroleum. A Level 2 contamination assessment is recommended during the project design phase for the high and medium risks prior to the right-of-way acquisition. The PD&E study developed a preliminary construction cost estimate for the 3 alternatives using the FDOT Long Range Estimate Cost Estimating System. The preliminary construction cost estimate for Alternative 1 is approximately $900 million. For Alternative 3 is $1.3 billion, and for Alternative 4 is $1 billion. Alternatives 1 and 4 are lower than Alternative 3. These estimates do not include utilities, environmental, or right-of-way costs. Today, you are attending the Alternatives Public Workshop. The public hearing where FDOT will be presenting the preferred alternative is expected to be held by May 2026. The PD&E study is anticipated to be completed by November 2026. Over the next several months, FDOT will continue to finalize the analysis and seek approval after the public hearing. Following approval, FDOT will continue with the design phase in fiscal year 2027. As of today, right-of-way is partially funded and construction is unfunded. Your input is essential to the PD&E study process. We continue to encourage public input to help us make this important decision. For today's workshop, your comments and/or questions can be provided in 4 ways. If you are participating virtually, questions and comments can be submitted using the GoToWebinar Questions tool. If you have a question that you would like to ask live, you can be called on to speak by clicking the Raise Hand button. If you are participating in person, you will have the opportunity to fill out a comment card or ask a question by coming up front by the microphone. You could also email your comments to the FDOT Project Manager. You may mail written comments to the FDOT Project Manager at the address shown. or you may simply submit comments on the project website. While written comments and questions are accepted at any time, we ask that you provide comments you may have in connection with this workshop by November 26 to become part of the public workshop record. Outside the public comment period for the workshop, the department welcomes comments regarding the project at any time. The next step in the study is to incorporate your input from this workshop into the alternatives analysis process with the goal of identifying a preferred alternative. For more detailed information about the project and/or descriptions of the proposed improvements, you may review the maps, drawings, and other information displayed here and on the website. FDOT personnel will continue to be available to discuss the project and answer your questions after the presentation. Thank you for your interest in the State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway Widening PD&E Study. This concludes our formal presentation.
Thank you for participating in the project presentation session. Any questions about the presentation will be answered after the exhibits overview video session during the comment period. We will now begin the exhibits overview video session of the workshop.
Welcome to the State Road 826 Palmetto Expressway PD&E Study Alternatives Public Workshop. 10 exhibits were prepared for this workshop to present additional detailed information about the project and the PD&E study. These exhibits can be viewed and downloaded from the project website at www.southflroads.com/826 Express South by clicking the Documents and Publications link and scrolling down to the Alternatives Public Workshop section. The first exhibit is the Project Study Area. This exhibit depicts the project study area extending from US 1 Dixie Highway to Northwest 25th Street, including the corridor interchanges and the surrounding municipalities. The project total length is approximately 8.4 miles in Miami-Dade County. The next exhibit is the PD&E study process, which outlines the process itself. The basic steps of a PD&E study include data collection, development and analysis of alternatives, development of project documents, and final approval. Needs of the project. This exhibit summarizes the project's purpose and needs, as well as the 9 areas of the corridor that currently do not meet the necessary conditions for optimal operation. Existing environmental features. This figure delineates and locates all the known environmental features within the study area. This figure covers 10 areas: canals crossing the corridor, known contaminated sites near the project corridor, brownfields within a quarter mile of the study area, Miami-Dade County parks next to the study limits, critical habitat of selective species, cultural centers within a quarter mile of the study area, environmentally endangered lands, existing noise barriers, state historic structures immediately adjacent to the project limits, and natural resources, including wetlands, surface waters, and stormwater drainage features. No-build alternative conditions. This exhibit shows how the corridor will operate in the future if no improvements are made within the study area. Without improvements, the project corridor will continue to experience high traffic delays and will continue to operate at a level of service F by the design year 2055. FDOT recommends a target level of service D for roadways in urban areas. Therefore, a level of service D or better is considered an acceptable level of service. The description of the different levels of service can be found on the right-hand side of this exhibit. State Road 826 Roadway Typical Sections. This exhibit illustrates the number of lanes, dimensions of all roadway elements, and striping of each alternative, including existing conditions. The project limits were divided into two sections, between US 1 and State Road 874, and between State Road 874 and State Road 836. Alternatives 1, 3, and 4 Conceptual Designs. These exhibits are roll plots of the alternative designs. The roll plots divide the project limits into two segments. The top segment is from US 1 to north of Bird Road, and the bottom segment is from north of Bird Road to north of Northwest 25th Street. In these roll plots, north is to the right. On the left-hand side of the exhibits, you will find a legend defining each color and line shown on the roll plot. In these exhibits, you can see the black shape depicting the footprint of each alternative. The gray shapes are bridges along the corridor. On these roll plots, you will also see a roadway cross-section between interchanges depicting the number of lanes, dimensions of all the roadway elements, and the amount of widening necessary to accommodate the additional lanes. The top section is the existing roadway condition, and the bottom section is the proposed roadway condition. If you zoom in on the interchanges, you will see the proposed improvements at each interchange as well as intersection improvements 1 or 2 intersections downstream from the ramp terminals. Right-of-way impacts are necessary at select locations along the corridor. Areas with yellow lines indicate the right-of-way needs for each alternative. Alternatives access points. These schematic line diagrams illustrate the existing and/or potential new access points for entering and exiting the managed lanes and express lanes. North is up. This exhibit includes 4 figures. On the left is a schematic line diagram illustrating today's express lanes access points along State Road 826 between US 1 and Interstate 75. FDOT recently opened express lanes along State Road 826 between State Road 836 and I-75 as shown in orange and yellow. In this figure, you will see the express lane access points serving this section of State Road 826, 4 access points northbound and 5 access points southbound. On the right are the schematic line diagrams for alternatives 1, 3, and 4 depicting access points, managed lane system in brown, and new non-tolled lanes in blue. Project schedule. This exhibit lists the next milestones of the PD&E study, the beginning of the design phase, and the funding information to date. An alternative public workshop fact sheet is also available for download on the project website. The fact sheet summarizes the highlights of the study to date. Page 1 includes a summary of the project background, purpose and need, alternatives analysis, schedule, and contact information. Page 2 illustrates the alternatives roadway cross sections. This concludes our video presentation. Thank you for attending tonight's public meeting.
Thank you for watching the exhibits overview video session. Any questions not answered by the exhibits will be answered during the comment period session. We will now begin the comment period session of the workshop. For today's workshop, your comments and/or questions can be provided in 4 ways. If you are participating virtually, questions and comments can be submitted using the GoToWebinar Questions tool. If you have a question that you would like to ask live, you can be called on to speak by clicking on the raise hand button. If you're participating in person, you will have the opportunity to fill out a comment card or ask a question by coming up by the microphone. You could also email your comments to the FDOT project manager. You may mail written comments to the FDOT project manager at the address shown, or you may simply submit comments on the project website. If we are unable to respond to your question during the meeting, then a response will be provided at a later date. We will begin with any questions from the in-person participants who have filled out a speaker card. When you're called, please state your name and address before making your comment. If you represent an organization, municipality, or other public body, please provide that information as well. We ask that you limit your input to 3 minutes. If you have additional comments, you may continue after other people have had the opportunity to comment. Does anyone desire to speak? You can go to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Mariela Marrero. I was at the 2019 meeting. I didn't hear a lot of conversation or any presentation on the effects of what's going to be done on the surface streets. My contention is that the surface street issues, lights, it's really what causes a lot of the traffic issues that we're seeing that back up into the highways. But moreover, it's one of the big issues is the express lanes. I'm not speaking without experience. I served on the FDOT committee for 10 years. I was one of the voting members for the first express lane that was put in I-95. And it's a decision to this day that I regret with how it's expanded. And so one of the issues is that the express lanes, when they merge, when they end near on the Palmetto South, when they end at which is after Flagler and 8th Street, going to Coral Way, and then you also have the 836 spilling out and merging too. That's your bottleneck. That's where your traffic is, and it goes all the way back up north. So all this that you're doing is not necessarily going to answer the question. It's not going to solve it. And how do I know that? Because your presentation here on the background says that the northern segment, which extends from Northwest 25th Street to I-75, was recently constructed. We all know that there isn't anything worse than getting onto the Palmetto on Northwest 25th Street and trying to get past I-75. It's a complete bottleneck. So if that's your success, what do we expect from this? It's the express lanes, the takeoff, the impede movement. Also, I don't see, and if we could discuss a little bit about the width of the lanes in each alternative. I'd like to know how wide the lanes will be for each. Thank you.
Okay, the first question was about the cross streets. We are improving any intersections downstream from the RAM terminals. The objective of this project is to try to process as many vehicles as we can at the RAM terminals to prevent backups on the RAMs to the main line. That's where we have the fatal accidents of cars queuing into the main line. So we're trying to add additional lanes and at the RAM terminal and the downstream intersection so we can process vehicles out of the 826 and improve the access in and out of the expressway. Beyond that, obviously the arterials are, obviously as we know, they're congested, but right now this project is only focused on the interstate, the interchange, and maybe 1 or 2 intersections downstream. That's from the crossing arterials. In terms of the issue that you stated about the congestion south of 836, between 836 and Coral Way, this project is also including, and is not in that presentation because you can see it more detailed on the road plots, we are adding a collector distributor system between 836 and south of A Street, which means that today, right now, there's some delineators in there dividing the traffic on the main line, and the people that want to go to A Street and Flagler. We're actually going to add that CD system, which can add 2 and 3 lanes into that CD system, where we're going to collect all the traffic. So if you're going southbound on 826 and your destination is Flagler or A Street, you'll be able to get off before 836, and that way allows traffic entering the Palmetto from 836 will have now no conflict try to enter and merging with the 826 mainline traffic. So that CD system will serve Flagler and A Street. So not only you are picking on the people that want to get off, but we're also picking on the people from Flagler and A Street separated from the main line. So that traffic will enter south of A Street. So that piece between 836 and just south of A Street will have no traffic conflicting with the traffic that wants to enter from 836, allowing traffic to flow southbound, which is one of the major constraints or where we have the most congestion today. So we're adding 2 lanes to the city system, plus in each alternative, we're adding an additional lane on the main line, and that will allow you to flow traffic without congestion in the southbound direction. The third question was about the lane width. So right now, the lanes will vary between 11 and 12 feet. The 11 feet are only in the piece between A Street and 836. We are constrained under the 836, 826 interchange, that overpass. So the lanes have to kind of narrow from 12 to 11 to be able to fit within the existing bridge under the 836 interchange. From south of A Street, every other lane is 12 feet wide.
Is there anyone else in person who, please, just a reminder, please state your name and address for the record.
Did I answer all your questions? I'll make sure I answer your question. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Quintela and your staff. My name is Jose Paneda, 7790 Southwest 68 Terrace. And I feel like I'm in a nightmare here today. I went through all this, the exact same thing in 2008, the expansion of the Palmetto Expressway, specifically between Miller and US 1. We went through all this, the great presentations. We had meetings with federal, state, local officials, promised all this and that. This was going to be it. And here we are 17, 18 years later, and you're encroaching on us again. It affects our families. It affects the pollution, both noise and also tire wear and tear. We were told that we couldn't get a higher wall back then because there wasn't enough people in the area, although proportionally we pay the same amount of taxes. I am sure that I am not here representing the Glenvar Heights Association or the Sunset Miller Association, but I'm sure that you will be hearing from them, and we'll be hopefully having some meetings together because again, we're all over again. And like this lady said before, I think that in some cases, specifically that area, your efforts are futile. You're just, expanding to expand. There's no problem in that area. And once you hit US 1 going south, you hit the wall, you hit the tapon, you hit, the blocking area, or exiting into either 88th Street or 72nd or Miller because it's blocked. So this is just creating more pollution or noise. We went through 2.5 years of construction, the beeping sounds, the trucks in the mornings at all hours. And again, for what? There's no, there's so many sardines we can fit in a can. And this is where we are in Miami. I travel everywhere. I go to Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. It is what it is. How many more lanes are you going to make? How many more expansions are we going to have? How far are you going to get to the Everglades on one side and the ocean on the other? How much? How far? It doesn't really matter because we are overcrowded in a very narrow area. So I strongly would suggest, and again, I'm speaking only for our area between Miller and US One, who were very much affected the last time that this was done. And it was only 18 years ago. So I thank you for your time, and I hope that the no build alternative is done for that section specifically. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm going to move to some of our virtual folks because we have two with their hands raised. Ellie Quigley, I'm going to come to you first. You are self-muted, so you can unmute now. Mrs. Quigley, if you'd like to speak, I've unmuted you, so you can go ahead. I'm going to move to the next one. Jose Morales, I will unmute you.
Hello? Hello, did you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Hello? Yes, I submit through the comment box, but while I'm live. Okay, my name is Jose Morales. I'm the owner of property 7669 Northwest 3rd Street, 33126. I want to know if I will be impacted directly what you call of right-of-way acquisition during this project.
So what I recommend in the chat, in the question, if you can provide us your address fully, then we can look into the our system, and then we can reply to if we are impacting your property or not. And if you wish to speak further, you can call us one-on-one, and we can discuss if you have any impacts. We can explain what it is or what may be happening near your property.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I put the information in the comment box. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person who would like to speak? Okay, we have one question, actually two questions on the chat. One is funding for construction is not yet available. Where will funding come from?
Currently, the project is unfunded for construction. We really don't know where it's going to come from, but the department is making every purpose to fund this project. This is a very important project for the community.
Okay, the next question is, where can we find information on what properties will need to be acquired?
So if you look into the in the website, we have those row plots. You can find your property there, and if you see in that row plot, the red lines show the existing right of way, and if you see any yellow line approaching that red line, that means anything between that red and yellow will be impacted. Now, if you need to know more or need more details, again, you can put your property address in the chat, and we can look into our design to see if you're impacted or not, or you can call us directly to me or Raul with that information on the slides or on the website, and we can meet with you one-on-one and explain if you are being impacted or not.
Someone did ask, what is the actual website? Can we move to that slide? I know we're getting a lot of questions with addresses, and as Ryan mentioned, staff will go through those and answer each one individually for those folks. And if you have any further questions, there will be information on how to contact the project managers, and you could always reach out if you have more questions.
Our staff will go through it, so it may not be tonight, but we're going to go one by one and respond to those that enter their address. So you will get an email from us or respond directly to your information so you can see if we're impacting your property or not. It'll take some time for us to go through it and type in every address and double check.
We did get one other question that we haven't gotten yet, which is a clarification on how the exit to Kendall Drive will look like near the mall.
If you look into, again, those road plots on the website, if you navigate through the website, those road plots, you can actually zoom in to the that interchange, and you'll be able to see in black what are the new improvements at that intersection. If you look at the road plots, you're going to see also that if we're adding turn lanes, you're going to see a red arrow, meaning that we're adding an additional lane to those RAM terminals. So all those details you can actually get in from those road plots. And again, if you have any questions, you can contact us one-on-one, and we can actually help you get to those designs, those concepts. We have alternatives 1, 3, and 4. All the improvements at the interchanges and the intersections, they are the same. The difference between the 3 alternatives are the type of improvements and the amount of improvement along the main line. But everything else at the RAM terminals, intersections, and interchanges, they are the same for all 3 interchanges. So for all 3 alternatives.
We received one comment. I think express lanes would give people a choice to get where they're going faster if they are willing to pay, as long as they don't replace the existing regular lanes. I like having that option, but the interchanges and the intersecting roads definitely need to be improved so everything flows.
Thank you for that comment.
And then we had to get another question. Is Coralway access to State Road 826 North from Coralway westbound being addressed? Access is at a light signal left turn near school, hospital, and gas station.
At Coralway, we only impacting the first intersection from the RAM terminal. At that school, I think it's the one to the east, the hospital.
It's the west, it's the Coralway westbound.
What side?
Yeah, westbound to north.
That's where the hospital and the school
yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the actual improvements start from that point towards the west. There's no room to widen that intersection because we had the school on one side and the hospital on the other. But from that point on, we're adding improvements to process the traffic to enter 826.
Is there anyone else in the room?
Coralway. We're not changing the configuration. The movements that are there today will remain. All we're doing is adding additional turn lanes at the RAM terminal. But all the movements will remain the way they are today. Thank you for clarifying that.
Is there anyone else online that may have a question? I know there's a lot of property questions on here. And like I said, we'll get to them individually. If not tonight, it will be in the near future. I'll give it a few more minutes. There's nothing.
We don't have any other question. No more question.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes,
Sure,
yes.
of course.
Okay, in 2019, when you had the last meeting, I submitted the following. Now, with the lanes reduced from 6 to 5 lanes because of the new express lane in that area, it is worse. And when the express lanes ends, there is a merge on the far right lane that actually causes cars to pile up in the emergency lane. The traffic is bottlenecked. I know that you're saying that that's going to be fixed. We shouldn't have to wait for that. That should be a very no cost solution or very low cost solution because it's an express lane issue. And it was a design issue and someone didn't pay attention that you're merging on the left and you're merging on the right, going south, and which backs up traffic on the Palmetto all the way north, all the way north for the people headed south. Regarding the surface streets, this is really important because I understand it. Yeah, I worked with this for a long time. Like you can't fix the lights on to enter the highway on Northwest 25th Street. I worked with the engineer on the timing of those lights to improve it. So I understand surface street lights. Any backups onto the Palmetto are related to the timing of the lights are at the exit. For instance, on Southwest 72nd Street, Sunset, when exiting the Palmetto South to go to 72nd Street East, the light after the bridge turns red and only allows approximately 9 cars on 3 lanes in, and then no more cars can go in, and that backs up into the highway. So that's just one example. So a lot of this, where we're backing up into the highway and causing traffic on the highway, is surface street. So I almost see it as, building a whole highway to fix something that you could fix on the surface street, see if that works, how much that improves, so that you're not spending the money on a highway and having the same situation with what you're considering a possible success in the Palmetto between 25th and I-75, which is not. It's completely a standstill. And you know where it improves? After you pass 122nd and you start getting to where there are no expressways. That's where it gets better.
Ma'am, I recommend that we go to the road plots when we finish, so you can explain to us the areas where you complaining about, and we'll show you the improvements that we're doing in those areas.
We do have another online question, but before I do that, just a reminder for everyone asking about their property, especially online, to please provide your address so that the staff can assist you properly. Also, a reminder that you can go on the website, and in the roll plot exhibits, you can see, we'll show the right-of-way impacts for each individual alternative. So the question that has been posted is, existing the Palmetto westbound at Kendall Drive to get to 76th Avenue South is an absolute nightmare during rush hour in the afternoon. Is this going to be addressed?
Towards the west. Towards the west? Did they know? Well, yes, well.
Yes, towards the west.
Yes, yeah, if you actually look into that road, but yes, we are adding lanes from that RAM terminal to the west to the next 2 intersections. There's a lot of weave in that area, and we're basically extending once you get off from Palmetto to go west. When you turn right, there's a lane there that immediately merges. That lane is going to be extended the next 2 intersections to be able to flush that traffic from the interstate, from the expressway. And it's similar to almost every single cross street. One of the ideas that we're having here is not only the capacity or adding lanes on the main line, but at the interchanges, we're trying to add more turn lanes and receiving lanes on the cross streets so we can process vehicle quicker out of that RAM terminal so there's no backups. And that repeats in most of every single interchange. Especially in that one, we're extending that intersection, that additional lane, 2 more intersections downstream to be able to clear that. So that way we have no queuing on the ramp towards the expressway. And by also doing that, we can redistribute the green time at those ramp terminals with the additional turn lanes, so we can flush more traffic east-west. If we have more green time to those turn lanes, then more cars can move through the interchange, which means that now you don't have that interchange being the bottleneck on the cross street, because a lot of times interchanges are a constraint. It becomes a friction for those arterials across the interchange. With this project, we're trying to address that as well. So it's not only at the mainline level, but at the surface level, we're trying to do that as well. Obviously, we can't go too far to the east to the west, because that becomes another corridor and that requires another PD&E study. But we're trying to focus on that operation in and out of the interchange, so it will help and alleviate that congestion building up at the ramp terminal.
I want to give one more opportunity. There's no new questions. If anyone has questions online or in person. You answered their question. They said, sounds great. You certainly got the issue right. Seeing no new questions, it is now 7:15. Thank you for attending this alternative public workshop and for providing your input into this project. As a reminder, if we were unable to respond to your questions during the meeting, then a response will be provided at a later date. I hereby officially close this workshop for the State Road 826 PD&E study. Thank you again and have a good night. Staff will be available in the back for those in person to answer any further questions and to go through all of the exhibits with you.